it's been amazing. And, I mean, for us to break up in 96, unfortunately, when Tommy Steele left the band, we kind of hung around for a year and went around as a four-piece, hoping that he would come back. Never happened. We ended up breaking up in 96 and then getting back together in 2000 and having a whole new shot at it. It's like, it's been a great ride, and like I said, to have that opportunity once again. So therefore, when Tommy Steele left the band in 05, we said, hey, we're not going to let it, break us up this time. And therefore, we got Dave Rude. He came in, I think, in 06, and he's just fits like a glove.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
He brings a lot to the table, and he's a great guy, and so we're continuing on, and we're doing better than ever.
Awesome. One of the things above and beyond the chops that you guys have, but what makes Tesla rule so much, in my opinion, you guys are just a pure heavy rock outfit. You guys never followed any trends. You're just pure, real heavy music that stands the test of time. It reminds me, I mean, it's got that that kind of real cool sense of innocence, but Hot Girls come to mind when I hear you guys. You have an appeal with your female fan base, of course, that's incredible. So you bring them all to the show, and it just reminds me of the big, cake parties and barbecues, young ladies in tight, short, cut-off jeans and cool stuff like that with tank tops. It's just true and true innocence. But on the flip side, you do have some very heavy socio-political messages in some of the songs. So kind of elaborate on all of Tesla's creativity and how you've all harnessed everything about who you all are and where you take it, and what is the true aura of the band? What is the true sense of being in Tesla?
Well, we're just like a blue-collar rock band. We always keep the live feel to it so we can recreate it when we play live, and we feed off the people, they feed off of us. And we try to keep the words, more, real. And, we have songs that are like fun-loving songs, and like you said, it gets the girls dancing, and guys like to come around wherever the girls are dancing. But then, we have a lot of songs that about like love and real life, situations that we've either been in, or a lot of times, like when I'm writing lyrics, I can kind of try to put myself in somebody else's shoes. And it's just we're just a blue-collar rock band that represents our fans. Our fans, I think, feel like, hey, we're just like them guys, except for they're on the stage putting the music out. But so we're just hard-working blue-collar guys, and that's what our fan base is. They're very hard-working, good, genuine people.
We love that about you as well. And and you stand in with a category like bands like the Black Crowes and even some heavy metal bands from Europe like Saxon and Motorhead. You're pure, you're raw. There's heavy things on your mind that you want to mention, but then there's times where you just want to sing about what comes true to the heart, any emotions that may be going on with you at that time. I really do commend that to Tesla.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Never jumping on any of those, bandwagons. You could have turned into a speed metal band overnight, or decided to do some electronic synth kind of weird post-apocalyptic, 9 Inch Nails stuff. But you never did follow those trends, nor did you ever get weakened down by the whole Seattle scene and the grunge scene that came out, which, pretty much buried a lot of the bands in the 90s. You guys always maintain your integrity, and that is something to be commended for sure. And I'm definitely looking forward to the show on Saturday night. We're talking to Jeff Keith, lead vocalist of Tesla. They will be here at the Hard Rock Casino Saturday night, July 3rd. You guys all need to go down there and check it out. That's a hell of a way to kick off the 4th of July weekend than seeing Tesla, man. I'm telling you, that's really, really, really awesome. The other thing that, ties into kind of a thinking man's band, yet kind of on the mellow end, but just even the name. Originally you guys were titled City Kid, which, young bands, always kind of have some names that are not necessarily the best. I happen to love Tesla far better, and I think the fact in which you came about that name is pretty awesome. Tell us that story.
Well, I definitely like the name Tesla a lot better too. And as a club band, when I joined the band, Frank was like 16, so City Kid, was a perfect name or whatever, but we all sat there going, we don't want to be called City Kid if we get to a point like we are now, 52 years old, and I'm a singer of City Kid. So, we were halfway done with making the first album, Mechanical Resonance, and they said, hey, listen, we got to start printing some stuff up. and getting all the artwork prepared. And they gave us a chance, our management, and then Tom Zutaut, who signed us to Geffen Records. They all gave us opportunities to come up with names. We couldn't come up with nothing. We knew we didn't want to be City Kid. And then Cliff Bernstein, Peter Mensch, and Tom Zutaut, they came to the studio and said, listen, we want to tell you, before we say the name, we want to tell you everything about this man. He was an inventor of alternating current, which powers the amplifiers, remote controls, and wireless. And there's so much technology that this guy did that we use today. And music, he was an underdog. And next you know, we're like, okay, what's his name? And they said Tesla. And we're like, whoa, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it sounds so familiar now, but at first we're like, Tesla? But once we learned everything about the guy, the first 2 records were named after theories of his, of mechanical resonance, putting, sound waves at certain shock points of the earth. He could split the earth like an apple. And then the Great Radio Controversy, still in our history books, it says Marconi is the father of radio. But the Great Radio Controversy was the Supreme Court ruling that Nikola Tesla was actually the father of radio, and Marconi worked under Tesla and then got the patent and run down, and that's how a lot of things were done, especially back then,
Right.
And so Tesla never put things down on paper. He always had them in his head, and he could make them work. They're still trying to apply stuff today that they know works. They just don't know how it works because he didn't put it down on paper and stuff. So he was just like this, a genius guy. And like I said, he was an underdog.
Right.
So rock and roll's always like known to be the underdog, and they're the bad guys of rock and roll. But really, so the name fit very well, and we couldn't be happier with it. But I got to admit, it sounded very strange the first time I heard it, but I love the name. That's
awesome, and I'm sure you don't get tired of the story. I'm sure you get questioned all the time, but it's an awesome story, and it really pays tribute to a man who well-deserved his recognition, and because of laws and bullcrap, he got kind of caught up, unfortunately.
And therefore, there you go, Mike. Is another good thing. Like you just said, it's fun to talk about it because a lot of people never would have come to their attention. But when you come out with the name of Tesla, they're like, wow, what's behind that name? There's a great story behind it, and it's true.
Right. Now, you guys are doing things all DIY these days. You have your own label. Is it still called Tesla Electric Company Recordings, or is it called something else? I got a little confused. Okay.
Yes, it is.
You are all doing it DIY, which, it gives you autonomy. You can do your own thing. You don't have to have the middleman of the label kind of pointing direction to you, doing this, do that. What's it like to have that opportunity to be able to do these kinds of things, create your own albums, your own timeline, all that stuff?
Yeah, well, for us, we definitely kind of know we definitely know who we are and what we're all about, and so having our own reins to everything, it's great. And even the day and age of back when we first got signed, those days are gone. With there's still the big record companies out there, but it's very much a mainstream thing. Or there's a lot of bands that are doing the same thing as us. They're just they got their own record company because you can make the records that you want to make, and you don't have to follow certain guidelines. We sell a lot less records, but at least we're making records that we are excited and proud to put out. So
awesome.
That's the difference in it, So we couldn't really see us doing it any other way.
Right. I think at the end of the day, for everybody, they'd rather be their own boss, even if it means a little bit less money's coming in. Happiness is paramount compared to the money that you might be getting in. It really.
Absolutely, it ain't about the money; it's about the heart and soul.
Exactly. Now, I fielded a couple of questions from some fans, and if I answer or if I throw these out at you and they do not pertain, feel free to just say not right. But one of them was. Are you from Ida Bell, Oklahoma?
Yes, sir. I graduated high school. I went 1 year in Broken Bow and 5 years in Ida Bell, Oklahoma, and I graduated high school majoring in FFA, Future Farmers of America.
Amazing. Well, his question was, apparently, this guy knows a lot about you. Apparently you lost your class ring. Did you ever recover it?
Man, I lost that class ring in a show in Oklahoma City, and somebody pulled it off my hand when I was reaching down to the audience, and they slipped the ring off, and I went through this whole thing for like 5 or 10 minutes, said I want my ring back. Finally, they threw the ring back, but I ended up losing it over in Europe.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so I don't have it anymore, but, hey, I still miss it dearly.
That's funny. That's a great story also. Now, also one more question from somebody who we asked if they had a question for you, and that's, were you ever in a singing contest in which you performed a Sammy Hagar song?
Your love is driving me crazy. Yes.
Nice.
And I did, and I won $200.
All right.
Where you just put on these headphones, and this particular radio station here in Sacramento, they just give you an open mic. It was in between when the band was taking a break. And you just sing into the mic. And I won $200. And then that's the song that I sang when I sat in with City Kid, these two girls that used to live in Georgetown, this little small town where I grew up in the foothills. They said, hey, we know this band, and their singer's quitting tonight. And Frank and Brian were in the band. They don't even know it. We know Frank and Brian really well. We're going to tell them that Jeff Harper is the name of this guy. He's going to play for a band called Target that's playing Friday and Saturday nights. City Kid was just trying to establish Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Right. So next thing you know, these girls, they got me a audition, and I didn't know how to use a mic. I was holding it way far away. It was squealing. Yeah. But I went over to Frank on the chorus to share the mic with him. And Brian and them were like, man, this guy don't know nothing, and I couldn't even hear his voice. I don't even know if he can sing or not. And Frank said, hey, he doesn't know anything about a microphone, but he came over to share the mic, and he sang in my ear, and I heard his voice, and he's the guy for us. And that saved my life. Nice. I would have went over to share that mic with Frank on Your Love is Driving Me Crazy, I'd still be driving septic tank trucks or something.
Wow. Well, congratulations for that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Jeff, I got a couple more quick questions for you, and then we're going to wrap this puppy up. We are a sports station, 610 The Sports Animal here in Albuquerque, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about the Sacramento Kings and them leaving, and, of course, the situation that happened with Don Geronimo, the shock jock out there. What all went down with that, and why? Did it get resolved?
Well, I think what happened was the Kings, Brian and Frank went to supposedly their last game when they played the Lakers, and the program director there says, hey, well, can we use your song, Love Song, and we want to put all these clips of all the Kings fans from throughout all the years. And so they played Love Song at the end of the game, and all these clips from the Kings fans. And so then they came back to us and said, hey, listen, if the Kings stay, will you guys play? Can we use Love Song and then maybe Signs, and we'll do a couple songs, and we'll, do this big rally in the park. So the Kings end up staying. So we played this Cesar Chavez Park, and it went over great, and it was like they were using Love Song as their theme song. I love Will Find a Way, because the Kings fans just love the Kings, Right. So at any rate, evidently we did sound check. Brian was telling me the story, and he was heading home because he lives in Midtown. Take a shower, and he had a bunch of his friends start calling, going, listen, man, this guy, Ron Geronimo, I don't know his name. At any rate, the sports announcer, he's there at this tent, and he's talking down to Tesla. And so he said something about Brian's weight, and he's wearing a Blackhawks jersey because Brian likes to wear, hockey jerseys. And then he says, I look like some 52-year-old woman, and this and that. Frank looks like Mikey, I think, on American Chopper. Oh, wow. And all this kind of stuff. But I guess what was over the top for Brian was when he was saying Telsa. And then we've been mistaken, by Telsa. It'd be up on the marquee, T-E-L-S-A. So that, took it over the top for Brian. So Brian turns around, goes back to, they got all these booths set up, and the guy, I guess, goes, hey, it's Brian Wheat from Tesla. And he puts the mic into his mouth, and Brian slaps the mic down, and he goes, hey, dude, we're live on air. And Brian goes, I don't care what you are. Wow. Because, you're talking about our family, Tesla, man, and we're here to support the Kings and everything, and what do you want to, I think it was one of, something kind of went down like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, well, and Brian, we don't care the name calling stuff, but
all right, we had to cut that one out just a little bit short. We were just about wrapped up with Mr. Jeff Keith right there, but I hope that you enjoyed that interview with Tesla, as they will be in town tomorrow night at the Hard Rock Casino. And look for myself and Mr. Michael Carlisle, have a beer with us down over there and enjoy Tesla. Those guys rule. I checked them out again last year with the Scorpions.